Hi, you guys, it's me. I'm sorry the lighting is kind of dim in here. I've been working all day on things related to online learning. So we're just going to kind of keep on keeping on and don't worry about my face up here. But I wanted to talk to you about numbers because our whole goal this week in French 1 is to talk about super big numbers. Like we've talked about the numbers 0 through 100 already. And now we need to start looking at numbers that are bigger than 100. If we want to do that, though, we really kind of got to review the basics because we have not talked about numbers in a really long time. So I have my good old smart board here, just like it used to be. I have my file up. And I wonder if I can hide this thing. I'm going to hide this and see what it does. I have outtakes for these videos, and at some point I'll show you when I'm not embarrassed by them anymore, but they're pretty bad. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the numbers 0 through 100. If you feel pretty confident with the numbers 0 through 100, don't worry too much about this right now. But if you need a refresher, I made this just to refresh you. So if we're talking about the numbers 0 through 10, we know 0, oh, yeah, and here we go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So those are the basics. If you really are desperate to learn more about this, I know you all can find that darn Jamaican worms video and do your Jamaican worms dance in your living room or wherever you're watching this. Totally fine. And I'll post it too when I have a second. So there's our first set of numbers. Then I'm going to erase them and go a little higher now. So then we have 11, 12, 13, the best number in the world, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So with these numbers, we talked about this way back in class about how usually 11 is no big deal for people. That kind of looks like a little face if I was to put a nose there. But we're going to erase all of that now so it's not confusing for people. Oh, geez, so Pete's. It's a learning process. It's a learning process, you guys. So anyway, as I erase this, there. So we've talked about how 11 is no big deal. Most people remember 11. Most people, if they know the numbers 1 through 10, know the 17, the 18, and the 19. It's these here that are the problem. And a lot of people mix up 12 with de, but remember it's 12. If we need to think back to class when we're talking about the clock time, it's 12 heures instead of 2 heures. So 12 heures, 12 for 12. Then we have 13, and I apologize, my stylus is not the best. 13. And then I tell you what, if you don't know 14, remember we have cat and then the ors. This is me going 14. 14. And then quinze is spelled like this, Quinze. Oh, geez, let me move my face here. Quinze. And that, remember, I did the gesture as like a pop can. Cans, drinking a pop can. And then says is spelled like this, Seize. And then that, I use the gesture says, like says. So we have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And this 20, it looks like that. If you need to remember what 20 is, you can also remember, and this is going to be my drawing of a van. That is a van, maybe. That's the light. It's quite bright. It's nighttime, and those are some wheels. So van with a T at the end of it, vent. Okay, So I'm going to erase all of this stuff now. Basically, if you remember what we talked about when we were all together in class, bye-bye. If you know the numbers 0 through 20, you're pretty good when it comes to all the other numbers. The numbers 0 through 20 are kind of the backbone of every other number you're going to do up to 100 and actually beyond. So if you know the numbers through 20, you're good. But let me review where we go after that. We have vent. Oh, and I'm erasing still. Vent AM, which is 20 and 1. Vent A, and then we go up without the A. The A is only in 21. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, which is 30. TRENTE. So then we would continue going with 31, 32, 33, 34, all the way up to 39. And then do you remember what we ended up at? I'm going to give you a minute to think while I cough. Not COVID cough, allergy cough. Okay, so here we go. You think about what comes after 39 and I'm going to cough. Okay, do you know? If you do, you're saying to yourself, here, let me get this out of the way. And actually, we're going to make a list of these things. We're going to say vent. Oh, need to remember to do that. Vent is 20 and 30 is 30. And then after that, we have 40, and that is 40. And I'm telling you what, some of us are still mixing up this 40 with 4 and 14. So if you want to review that at some point, that would be a great idea. 40 is 40, 14 is 14 with 14, and then 4 is just 4. Okay, so then we have 40 is 40, and we still continue going with the same pattern, the 41, 42, 43, all the way up to 49, and then we end up with 50, which is 50. Oops, and I spelled it wrong because my brain is turning to mush these days. 50, which is 50. And we would continue with the pattern again, 51, 52, 53, 54, all the way up to 59. And then after that, we have 60. And 60 is 60. And we would count all the way up with 60, 61, 62, 63, etc., all the way up to 69. And certain people in class take your minute to chuckle and whatever now. And then we end up breaking the pattern. Instead of going on to 70 and following the same pattern we had with all of these other numbers, then we move into 60-10. So 60, 10 is 70. And then we would continue up, rather than saying 71, 72, like 70 and 1, 72, we would count up into the teens. We would say 70 is 70, then we would go to 71 for 71, and 72 for 72, 73 for 73. You see how we're going up into the teens, like 60 plus the teens, all the way up to 79, which is 79. And then we need to remember our multiplication. I'm so sorry if you're not there with the multiplication. Not a math person either. But then we end up with 80. which is 4 hyphen 20. And we only add an S to this one. Any other time you say 80, you do not need an S. It's just that one time when you do. So 80 for 20s is 80, which is multiplication. I'm so sorry. Then we count up again, and we follow the same kind of pattern that we used with 60. So we say 81, 82, 83, all the way up to 89, which is 89. And then we continue on following the pattern with the 70, 90, which is 90. So I'm going to squeeze it down here. 80 is 90. And then we continue counting up through the teens again. 91, 92 for 91 and 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. And then we end up, and I'm going to get all of this off of the screen here because we're going to go up to 100. We end up with 100, and that is cent. And that's where we are going to start for the next video. Couple things that you can do to practice this. Obviously, you can do those gosh darn worms. There are a couple videos out there with those. You can make yourself flashcards. You can make yourself flashcards up to 100, and on one side you can write the digits, and on the other side write the words. And I know that it's tedious, and I know that, you probably have better things to do with your life right now than write numbers over and over, but the repetition is going to help you understand the pattern. So if you make index cards from 1 to 20, and then you add 21 through 30, and then you add 31 through 40, and just build up to it until you get to 100, that'll help you understand the numbers from 0 to 100. Although I maintain that if you know the numbers from 1 to 20, you're good. So this is my little review of the numbers from 0 to 100 or 1 to 100. And then in the next video, we'll talk about super big numbers, and they follow a pattern all their own. Thank you for watching this, you guys. This has taken like several takes. At some point when we have a few minutes, I'm going to show you bloopers for this. I don't swear, but I also kind of cover my mouth, and I'm like, because that's exactly how I feel right now. It's been a long week. So I hope you benefited from this. We can talk more about this at office hours if you want. Remember, my office hours are going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 2 to 3, unless you're not able to make that, and then we can do a different time. We're going to use Google Meet for that, and I'm going to text out the Google Meet code through my Remind account if you want to log in that way. And I believe most of us, if not all, are logged into Remind. If you need the code, let me know. Okay, I'm going to try to stop this. Stopping these things are the biggest pain in the butt. There's my Facebook. If you ever want to take a look at that, but don't, because it's my personal Facebook. Anyway, I'm going to move my face here and stop this video. Thanks a lot.